welcome back, guys. We're going to take another stab at this Q&A video thing again. I recorded it a couple weeks ago, but I tried using my lav mic again, and the audio was just bad. Like, I felt bad even considering using it. It was so bad. And we had a few interruptions.
Hi. Crying out loud, you're so helpless. Well, don't do that. Crying out loud, lay down or something. Hi. Stuff that is available. What the heck are you doing? If I've been here too long, sitting in your chair, buddy, for the love of Pete, man, what are you doing? You're really making this a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Do you want to read one? Seriously? Can you, thank you. Okay, you've worn out, you're welcome, sorry. You can have the chair back when I'm done.
So hopefully we won't have any issues like that this time. And but just like that time, I'm going to go through and just read everything off of my phone here, off the comment section. So whatever order that happens to come in, we'll just answer it as it comes. And if there's a question, there's a couple of them I think that were... Stop that. Stop that. No. There's a couple of questions that were similar enough, so I won't answer each one of them the same thing again. I'll just mention this is whatever answer it was. So, for starters, this is, let's see what this says. There's 70 comments. I don't know if each one of those is questions. The last time I took this, tried to record it, it took about an hour, so I might cut this to 2 parts. Nah, I probably won't. I'll just make it for my more dedicated viewers, I guess. So we're just going to dive right into it from the top. Joshua Rodriguez asks, what integration would you recommend for beginners? And I would recommend something small to start out with until you get a feel for how the plastic works. I mean, as far as how does... Excuse you. Right. Relax. As far as how the plastic works, as far as cutting it and how the pieces fit together and stuff like that, because there is a bit of a learning curve, I guess, as far as getting the 2 pieces to relate to each other and stuff like that. So I wouldn't go diving into some kind of multi-shell integration right off the bat. I would start with either maybe integrating a rough cut to a retaliator barrel or something kind of like that. For the love of Pete, man, relax. They'll leave in a little bit. Come on. Or perhaps do something with like a fire strike, integrate, maybe even just more of a minimization and just getting a feel for how patching the shell works, as far as more just the basics of how, I mean, if you're going to use epoxy putty or if you're going to use DEFCON or whatever, to get a feel for how the plastic reacts to that and shaping and filing and stuff like that. Something very, very small like that. So that's that's what I would recommend to beginners, to get a feel for. For heaven's sake, man, go lay down. To get a feel for how the process works more than anything before jumping into something a little bigger. Next up, blastaway.eu asks a series of questions. Coop or Drac? I would say, given the choice between the two, I would probably lean more towards Coop, just because I don't watch much of Drac stuff personally. I've never seen a thumbnail that I thought, I want to see what that is. I like Coop for his reviews. They're very concise, very to the point. They cover a lot of the similar, there's a similar pattern to his reviews. I just appreciate what he looks out for in blasters and stuff like that. I don't know, I think given the choice between the two, I would relate more to Coop's material as when he's more in a serious mood. When you get past the giggities and all that garbage, then I actually do enjoy his review content. Next question, Mr. Heathpants or Exiled878, which is a very unfair question because I'm good friends with both of them. That said, I think I personally relate more towards Exiled's work, just because it is more integration based. I love Heathpants' work, some of his scratch building, and now he's getting into 3D printing, and now he's building entire shells now. I like the way his brain works and how he just how he sees things and how he solves problems and stuff. But I think personally, like I said, I relate more towards Exiled's work and just how he puts shells together. I'm still still trying to get up to his level of just shell fitting and as far as looking at things differently. I mean, he uses a lot of, like, he doesn't look at a barrel and say, that's a barrel. He looks at it and says, this is a good piece to use for whatever. And so he finds a way to use unusual pieces, or I guess unusual uses for different pieces. And I just really, really like that. And so I think, personally, like I said, I relate more towards Exile's work. But both respect the crap out of both of them. Sling fire or sledge fire? I think personally, because I guess I just don't have the coordination or the familiarity with the shells to be able to effectively load the shells quick and swap them out like that, I think I'd probably lean more towards sling fire, because I have used those in wars, doing little games around here. Being able to just one-hand it is a nice feature, although the reload could use a little work, just because you have to have the breech open, you have to have the lever forward to get the mag out, and the mag releases in a goofy spot. So aside from that, I think usability, I think I would lean more towards the sling fire personally, but the sledge fire is a ton of fun, especially I have one that's been modified a little bit, has relatively respectable range. So it kind of depends on what I'm going for. If I'm going to have fun, would you please stop? Would you just relax? Just relax. If I'm going for fun, I do sledge fire. If I'm going for more trying to win or more effective use, then I do the sling fire. Springer or flywheel? Probably lean more towards flywheel, just because I do more flywheel mods, because integrations I feel are easier on flywheel setups, just because you're not bound by a full system. For heaven's sake, man, come here. Come here. Right now, come here. What's wrong? They'll leave in a little bit. We have visitors right now in the house with my wife, and he's being very upset that he can't say hi. I do have, in fact, I've done a Springer integration, but I can't reveal that quite yet, so look forward to seeing that relatively soonish, I believe. I do have some other plans for Springer-based integrations, but especially something with like a Retaliator or more of the MagFit Springers. You have that cap on the back that kind of causes problems. That kind of helps close everybody up in the back. But I'm not sure if I could just reinforce the existing shell enough to where I can put a respectable spring load in something without it blowing the guts out the back. So I am toying with the idea, and I do have I have a certain number of projects I'm working on right now, that once I get those out of the way, I'm going to kind of change my thinking and play with a few different quirkier ideas on a few different projects. So that might be something you would be interested in seeing later. We'll see. Next final question is Raven or Strife? Well, I do like Ravens, especially the back end of them. I do like the Strife because it is the Strife is essentially like the small block Chevy of the Nerf world. I mean, it's a good base to start with. There's a flooded aftermarket of parts. You can do pretty much whatever the heck you want to with them. It's just a good platform to build off of, and I do like that, because as much as I hate the Strife as far as shape-wise and shell-wise, I like the platform itself, because it's good, something good to build off of. All right, moving on. Nerf Curator, Triple B, says, why have we not teamed up yet? I am the Nerf Curator, you're an awesome creator, we could do some things, lol. Well, I'm all for that. I don't see why not. If you want to do something, come talk to me and we'll work something out. I don't know what you have in mind, but I'm always up for doing collaborations and stuff like that, and just kind of, hanging out with people in the community. So, yeah, if you got something in mind, excuse you, then, yeah, let me know. Samuel Buckley says, congrats on the 3K. Well, thank you. I have two questions. What does your current loadout look like? Primary, secondary, mags, etc. Question 2, are you working on any new HPA projects? Okay, current loadout, because most of my actual warring around here is at the arena, and I do mostly rival because it's hard to run an effective loadout with their junk darts. I have been primarily... No singing. I've been running... Shh. I've been primarily running... I've been trying to play with the... I got a... what the heck's it called? Not that. The Hera. Tried playing with the Hera, and I think I need to do a little more work on the rev switch. It got a little goofy on me. As far as functionally it was good. I have two styles of loadouts, I guess. I have a mag loadout and I have a scavenger loadout. The mag loadout I use with my Zeus, or used to use with my Zeus, and then ran with the Hera, and it's the, let's see, it's this mag pouch that I built with my HIR single Baron on the holster. Ran that, usually ran 3 mags, one in the blaster, and then left an open spot on the pouch, so I had to place a dump because my dump pouch isn't big enough to run the rival stick mags. Now I use that with basically anything mag fed. The scavenger loadout I use with this little Condor collapsible dump pouch, and I just stick it on my belt and then load that full of rounds, and then I've used either my let's see this, my Atlas with the narrow-base mag holder on the side, so I can run 2 of those and then 1 in the magazine. I have the modified the jam door to where it's easy to top off as I go. So I basically run the dump pouch to top off as I go, and then if I'm in a situation where I need to reload in a big hurry, then I can just pop the mag out, grab one of these, load it back in, and then at my leisure, for love of Pete, stop it, just stop it. I can just top it off and reload it as I go. There again, it is a arena environment, so there's a lot of ducking under cover, scooping stuff up as you go, and stuff like that. Hoping to, whatever. I've been using that. I also have been playing with this titanium with an Atlas spring, cut down, I think I cut 1 inch off, using it, and removed the internal lock and stuff, so you can just prime it as many times as you want. It shoots 2 effectively, 3 at okay range. 3 isn't quite as useful as I'd like it to be, but I've been playing with that. Not in love with the hopper. I think if I have a higher capacity hopper that might help a little bit, but also leaning into the dual-wield Chronos. Played quite a bit last time I was at the arena with the Chronos, and really like it. I'm wanting to build a holster for at least one of them, so that I can stick one in a holster and reload, swap it out, and reload and stuff like that. I want to lean more towards that a little bit, but it kind of depends. I usually bring 2 different blasters or more, if whatever I can fit in my bag when I go to the arena, and depending on what the crowd is like, I'll kind of adjust it accordingly. Because I don't like to have a killer loadout if it's a rather small group or a group with more kids and stuff like that. So I kind of try to tailor what I wore with based on the crowd and how the crowd moves, or as far as the teams and stuff. But yeah, that's, like I said, I do kind of 2 loadouts. I have a mag loadout and a scavenger loadout. And I do hope to have more information on those later. I was hoping last year to do rival loadout videos based on my gear and my mods and stuff on my rival blasters, because I am more serious in performance and efficiency mindedness mods on my rival stuff, because I do war more with those. So yeah, hopefully have more information on that later in the year, I'm hoping. Second question, are you working on any new HPA projects? Yes, I have a Gobzuka tank over there that I tried to convert to HPA, but the little bleed-off valve thing on the MJV03 valve, the clipboard, doesn't let enough pressure off to trigger the exhaust valve thing on the Gobzuka tank, so I'm playing with that. I have plans for that. In fact, I'll probably mention that later. But yeah, as far as the HPI Paulo itself, I haven't done much more with. I played with a copper barrel that has a good fit, but I couldn't get the I just couldn't get it to fire reliably. It would come out hot, but I couldn't. I played with barrel porting and modifying a hop up and stuff like that, and I couldn't get a consistent straight shot. It either curl just wildly up or wildly to one side or straight down. Sometimes I could get a shot that came out just dead straight and it was beautiful, but that was like a 1 in 10 shot. So I'm kind of waiting for somebody else who actually knows more about long barrel systems and dart ballistics, I guess. Somebody who actually knows what they're doing to kind of get that sorted out first, so I can kind of continue with the project, just because it's inefficient for me to use time in something that I don't know anything about, whereas I could be applying my time to something I do know more about and actually completing projects. So it's kind of shelved for the time being, but that is something I do eventually want to get back to. So next, Trico Gamer 02 says, "Congratulations, Mr. Nathan." Thank you. It's about time people found this channel. Question: what is a blaster you're looking forward to building or finishing? Again, congratulations. Okay, well, I guess one thing I am wanting to finish is the HPI Paulo eventually. My main goal is to have the HPI Paulo in a rifle format. I know it's eventually going to be semi-automatic, but I want to have a little bit of a barrel added so that I can take the Gobzuka tank and mount it underneath with a rival absolver, which I have played with. And in fact, before I cut up the tank, I did take it to the arena with seven PVC barrels on there, and I was shooting 15 to 20 or whatever rounds, and just dumping them everywhere, and it was very effective and very fun. And so there is potential with that. In fact, since I played with that, Buff Daddy actually found a better fitting barrel material, and was running, I think, 28, running four rounds down each barrel, and had a little bit of a cant to the barrels, a little bit of a degree off. Instead of being all straight, it kind of fanned them out a little bit, so just a cloud of rival rounds came out. So I'm wanting to do something like that with that, and just have it an all HPA system, to where you can run a semi-automatic Apollo once I get that dialed in, so it's just boom, 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 and then be able to have some kind of ungodly shotgun stuck to the bottom of it. But that's going to be a ways down the road. But that is one project I'm looking forward to seeing, either have somebody else build it and pat them on the back and say, "That's great, I'm glad that worked out for you," or finally be able to get it done myself. But yeah, that's we'll see how that goes. AKA Ging Z says, "Congrats, man. Thank you very much. You make some wicked cool blasters. Keep up the good work." And I will. Thank you very much. A question for your Q&A. How would you go about creating a Nerf Colt? Hammer-primed revolver, maybe cylinder pops out to reload, or a cutaway in the shell to reload. Not a hammer shot. The cylinder is way too far forward. It's been something I've been trying to do for nearly a year now, and it would be good to hear some ideas from somebody with your expertise. I kind of kicked that idea around after reading your comment, and the only way to have the cylinder back far enough would be to have a jolt-style prime. Basically have the plunger in the handle, but then you would lose your... you wouldn't be able to do a cylinder unless it was a manually rotated cylinder, or I guess you could have a jolt prime and then have the hammer actuate some kind of rotation mechanism. I think the scale is too small to have all the necessary systems to do that, to work properly. So I don't see it happening. That said, if somebody does make it happen, cool. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying I'm not sure with our current technology and just based on the system requirements for a Springer system like that, you could make it happen in a small enough package. Alfa says, Q&A question, how is your HPA setup going? I kind of touched that already. Kind of burned out a little bit on the HPA after that. I've toyed with the idea of a couple different blasters, just regular dart blasters, converting to HPA, but I only have one XPZ left. So I might be more apt to jump into HPA a little bit more once I can thrift a couple more XPZs and cut them up. Bacon cheesesteak. Ooh, that sounds good. Have you ever had an integration fail that you're still hoping to find a way to make it work? Haven't really had anything fail. I have had plans change on different items. Is it that boring? In fact, on my Project Frustration video, I pointed out my Stampede Demolisher integration, stuff like that. I wouldn't really consider that a failure. That is something that I started and then abandoned. Didn't really abandon, just kind of set aside because I just wasn't feeling it anymore. I really haven't had an integration fail, so to speak. So I really can't I really can't relate to that or answer that. Dog hair. Jarrid Martin asks, if Nerf hired you to design a new Nerf line, what would it be? I don't think Nerf really likes my opinion on things, just based on the work I do. Honestly, I think I would lean more towards refining the Elite series. I don't think I really need a lot of more Doomland, Zombie Strike type lines. I mean, we got so many lines. I think if Nerf, instead of going so wide with their lines and doing, you know, they had Rebel, they had Doomlands, they have this and that, all these different lines, with only a few blasters each. Instead of making their inventory so wide and shallow, if they made their inventory a little deeper, you know, took the Elite line like they did when they first went Elite, and just had everything was just Elite, and they had a big, nice assortment of things in the Elite line. I think that would be a better idea for them. Watch it. If they'd basically just buckle down, or I guess double down on the Elite line, and do something a little more serious and more, just maybe if they just gave a darn, I guess. That's kind of the feeling I get, is they're just like, whatever, we put toys out there and kids buy them. I think if they just, I don't know, focused more on the lines that they have, instead of going with, you know, trying to pick up sales by offering another line, you know, the Alien Menace. I mean, well, they had 2 blasters, 3, barely, and now it's kind of fizzling. I don't know. I think I would, like I said, I would buckle down. I like the Elite style, especially the like the In-Strike, the old In-Strike and the Elite. I just like that style, just the way that the shells look and the angles and just the characteristics of the shell. So I think I would, you know, try to lean more towards that again, but that's just me personally. Tori's account says, congrats to 3K. Thank you very much. Here's my question. If you're the chief designer of Nerf, what new blasters would you make? Well, the same kind of thing. I do like the idea of having multiple firing systems, just, I guess, as a gimmick. But I know Nerf would look at, I mean, kind of like what they're doing with the Modulus series, where they have, like, you got this blaster, and then you got an attachment that does something else, and another attachment that does something else. It'd be kind of cool to have just a blaster that did all these different things, all in one seamless, smooth package. But, I don't know. I appreciate what they're doing, and I guess I can't really say what I think Nerf should do, because whatever they do, I'm just going to cut up anyway. So I just assume they'd make whatever they're going to make, and then I'll make whatever I want to make after, make it what I want to make out of whatever they make. So, Vanch Gandhi, sorry, I should have apologized in advance. I'm going to butcher anybody's name who I can't pronounce, so sorry in advance, but I will try to post the questions up on the screen, so that if I can't pronounce it right, at least you can maybe read it right. 3 questions. Do you like Pokemon? No. Pokemon came out when I was in, like, just getting out of 5th grade into 6th grade. No, it just came out in 5th grade. And I never understood it. That's not I'm not their audience. I didn't get it when I was a kid. Japanimation just never did anything for me. I know some people go crazy for it, but that's not me. There's nothing there for me. There's nothing that interests me about any of the Japanimation stuff. Like I said, it's just okay. I can appreciate that people appreciate it. I mean, that's okay. That's your thing, but it's just not me. Number 2, could you do a Brainsaw Master Key? Actually, it was Al the Geek on Instagram posted on his project, or his idea floor, that he was doing a Brainsaw Master Key on a Longshot, I believe. And I don't remember if I messaged him or if he messaged me. We kicked some ideas around a little bit, and it really got me thinking about a few things. And I got a couple ideas. I just haven't found a Brainsaw because I didn't want to pay like the $25-30 for it. So if I thrift one or something like that, then I do have a couple ideas of something to do with it. But it's not currently on the list of projects right now because I don't have one. So I can't really hold the parts up and really get a solid idea. I've just looked at pictures. But could I? Yeah, probably, when one comes along. Once the Infamous is released, Could you integrate its mag loading system into a rear magwell of a Straven shell? That would be really cool. There's going to be a lot of cool things of people doing, cutting up the Infinis when we finally get it. I do think, I know a lot of people have talked about just cutting it down to just the basic parts and just using it for loading mags, so I don't see any reason why you couldn't just cut the back end off and stick it into a stock. It'd be interesting to see how the shell itself relates as far as how it scales, width and height and stuff like that to other shells. So, you're saying, could I? We'll see. I mean, I'm not going to jump on the, was it $80 or whatever for it right away. I'll wait until it's like a year or two old, or if I can thrift one, or if one falls out of the sky on my house, then, we'll kind of go from there. But no, I do think the principle is very much doable, and I'm sure somebody's going to work on it as soon as they hit the ground out here. Three Rotten Kids ask, what do you use for masking when painting blasters? I've had really inconsistent results with a few different kinds of tape. Great content. Thank you very much for sharing your methods and experience. Well, thank you very much. I use automotive grade masking tape. I know a lot of people use like the Home Depot stuff, but I don't like house masking tape personally. I think the nature of what we do to blasters and stuff is more akin to the automotive market than the household market. So I do use, because I have had lots of striping tape and stuff like that around from my body shop days. And so, yeah, I do, in fact, I ran out. I need to buy some more of the 3M, the green 3M, I think, automotive masking tape, because it does have a little more flex. It allows you to make curves if you're, trying to tape off an unusual area or something like that. But yeah, I try to use, to get my paint supplies and stuff from a automotive source, whether it's a parts store or an actual paint and supply house or something like that. JVSPRB says, so, since you are reading the comments, supposedly, I am. Here's an idea I was planning on working on, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So here it is. Nerf strife integrated into a Longshot, strife, okay, with the back using its original attachment point. Okay, for a stock, it should be a worker stock, but instead of cutting cutting out the bar on the bottom, and instead fitting a piece of polycarbonate and two narrow-base magazine holders, one on each side of the polycarb, okay, on the bottom of the strife shot, an integrated rival Chronos. Then obvious internal mods, probably artifact cage, wheels, 2S lipo or so. Okay. No, I mean, that actually worked out pretty good. I think the narrow base retention system is a lot more solid than, say, a Longshot and stuff like that. Width-wise, probably wouldn't be ridiculous. It might be closer to the, what's it called, the Doomlands Double Dealer. As far as width, that might be a bit bulky, but I guess if you moved it forward slightly, depends on the shape, your build and how you're shaped and stuff like that. The premise, it sounds pretty solid on the stock and all that. And I do like the strife shot platform. I mean, just as far as the Longshot and strife, I do like that. In fact, I have another one on the bench that should be showing up as far as on the channel eventually. I've kind of teased it on the Instagram, but no, I do have probably at least one more of those in the works eventually, because I do like the shape of the Longshot on the strife. The Chronos underbarreled works in theory. I'm not sure there'd be enough room on the, as far as the front of the Longshot. I don't think it'd be long enough without the Chronos hanging way out. Also, the Chronos being upside down would make the hop down, and so your rounds would just go boop. So you would want to turn that upside down. I don't know. I think the Chronos is a bit large, but excuse you. But it kind of depends on. I mean, theoretically, it would work, and so I mean, if you do make that work, then yeah, go ahead and contact me somehow. I'd like to see it. Mr. says, congratulations on 3,000 subs. Thank you very much. I was thinking of an integration with the Adventure Force Enforcer and the Stampede. I wanted to use the stock and the grip of the Stampede to create a heavy weapon aesthetic. This would allow you to aim and shoulder the blaster. I would cut the stock and grip as one unit and then attach it for the barrel. I was thinking of simply attaching the Stampede barrel. Okay. You could use the Centurion for the stock and grip and flip the barrel and attach it. Okay. Similar to one of your recent builds. Recently bought 3 Enforcers for $15 Canadian at Walmart. Wow. Wondering what you think of the idea. Also, I have 120 dart chain, 340s linked together. What do you think, Mario? Wow. And Forza, that's the one that has the drum thingies, the pulleys on the sides, right? No reason that wouldn't work. I mean, as far as as long as you're having the, I mean, if you're going to use, if you're going to be able to shoulder it, I'm assuming you're not going to use the handle on top, so you're not like using the carry handle on the front and the regular grip on the back. If you are putting a grip on the bottom, that would put the chains and everything above, right? No, because the chains come down, so you'd have to like reach around it. I don't know. That would be rather awkward, I guess. Of course, then again, if you were running a 120 dart chain, you wouldn't be using the triangulated pulley arrangement. You'd probably just let it kind of hang and flap in the breeze, or just run a single. I guess you'd run a box, kind of like the Vulcan style. In which case, you wouldn't have the upside down issue to worry about, or the bottom pulley thing. So you could run a standard grip. It'd be kind of a wacky looking thing. There again, if you make, I mean, so what do you think? I think that'd be crazy, but the good kind of crazy. So yeah, if you are currently working on the project, then I'd like to see kind of what you got going on. That'd actually be really cool to discuss with you a little bit. Neil Patel says, do you take commissions? Not currently. I have a few other commission builds that I'm working on right now for some different people. That once those are wrapped up, and I get a few other little projects out of the way and kind of clean up my workbench and all of my existing projects out of the way, then I do plan to start taking on commissions. And when that happens, I will have a video and posts on Instagram and Facebook and everything saying, hey, here's the deal, I'm taking applications basically. And there will be a formal announcement on that. Patrick Pack, have you ever thought about doing a more unconventional build, such as an attractive turret or heavy weapon? With nearly all your builds being mid-weight assault-type blasters, I think it would be a refreshing change and would pose some new challenges for you. Actually, I do have one of those, not technically on the bench, but I do have the idea and the materials, and it's currently sitting on the shelf over there, which I think fits the bill for what you're looking for as far as a heavy weapon. Yeah, it'd be pretty heavy. So no, I think that is a build I'm really excited about. And I've considered starting the cutting, you know, with everything else going on, but I've told myself that I will build that as a reward to myself after I get these other projects done. So that is in the works, and I hope to get to that sometime this year, although this year is going by really fast already. Jason Dykes? How's the nerfing scene in Idaho? I've been living in Kuna a while, and I haven't seen any wars or anything. And also, if I hosted a war, could I invite you? Well, certainly you could. There's not much going on out here. I mean, I've had a few... Okay. I've done a few little wars and things. Now, not like last time. Gotta relax. Done a few wars with families and friends and stuff like that here in the backyard, doing a barbecue thing and stuff like that. But as far as like organized wars, the closest thing would be Nerfed or Dart Wars in Boise, which neither are really terrific for the more serious nerfing scene. So I would like to see something cook up out here. Would be really cool out here in Kuna. But yeah, if you do a war or something, or if you're able to get traction on something, yeah, I'd love to help you out or support you or whatever. So, but yeah. Ryan Engelstad says, given your automotive background, when do we get a plum crazy purple build or the Roadrunner beep beep sound effect built into a blaster? Well, he seems to be a Mopar muscle car guy, so there is a project hiding right now which is nearing completion, which I think you'll find very, very interesting as far as a automotive themed blaster. And I actually have another one planned for later, but yeah, it's in the works. It's relatively soon. You should hear something by the time End War comes around, hopefully. Would you stop? Alex Lynn says, Rapid Strike with Strife Master Key. I think having the Master Key being a slow rate of fire, still being a magazine fed, wouldn't be really efficient. I mean, I could see a Strife-based thing with like a minimized Rapid Strike underneath to, you know, let out a little burst or something. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't do it. In fact, I think I've seen it done. Was it one of like Mag 2 and 2s from a long time ago or something like that? I think he built something like that. Somebody did. I mean, you pose that as a question. I say, why not? It wouldn't be my first choice, personally. Okay. I know you're here. We'll play a little bit later. Dranatant says, what was your favorite integration project? Favorite integration project, you pose it as a past tense, but I would say present tense would be the Centaur build. No, I wouldn't say a Centaur. I would say the Centurion, which, look, you're causing issues again, which is the companion blaster to the Centaur, which I'm currently working on as well, which will be revealed after the Centaur is completed. For Pete's sake, man. So, just because it was one that is technically what the Centaur should have been originally, or what the client had requested originally, but just the way everything came together, it just went really, really well, and I was just really happy with how well and how quickly it developed. So there will be more information on that later. John Strobe says, if you had an unlimited amount of resources, what is the mod or integration would you make? AKA, what is your dream mod? I would say that it's that HPI Paulo Gobzuka integration setup. Matthew Mooney asks, what's your favorite primary blaster stock out of the box? That's a tough one. There isn't very many good primary blasters that are great out of the box, unless you go with, like, the Artemis, as far as being usable and stuff, but I have not had good luck with my Artemis. It's just the accuracy is not there. It just shoots really inconsistently and stuff, but other people love it, so I assume mine must be a lemon. But a lot of people answer that question that way, so I would say that's probably pretty close. That, or let's see, stock out of the box. I don't know, maybe like something like a Alpha Trooper or something like that, just because you do have something that's very lightweight, usable as far as magazines and stuff like that, decent rate of fire, having the slam fire on there, something like that. Tungsten says, congrats, thank you very much. William Sveen says, congratulations, love your work, thank you very much. How do you achieve the seamless nature of your integrations? Everything looks as if it was factory cast, simply beautiful. And that's basically the idea. I've been trying to, I guess, get that across with the Model-Long series, and that with the Integration Explanation series. Basically, the seamless nature is to basically take the lines of one blaster and tie them into the lines of another blaster. So often I've seen, in fact, when I first got into the hobby, so many integrations were just kind of smoothed together with a big pile of putty. So instead of, you had like the natural shell lines and stuff over here and then over here, and then you had just kind of a big slur in the middle of just putty and junk. And while it does blend the seam, I guess, it just makes itself a seam, essentially, because you have just such a blur in the middle. But I think the seamless nature of my builds and other people's builds, to achieve the seamless look, you do have to tie the characteristics of one shell to the other one, whether it's taking a line from one and blending it into the other blaster or something like that. But it's not so much just sticking two things together, but it's trying to make one look like the other and the other look like the one, essentially. There is going to be more, especially, I think I'll probably put them on the Integration Explanation series, but there will be more information on stuff like that. I do want to cover more information on that specific aspect of things in the future. Mr. Anonymous says, do you have a religion besides the Gospel of Foam? Yes, as near and dear to my heart as Nerf is, I am a Latter-day Saint. Sleeping Panzer says, how do you do your beautiful paint jobs? Honestly, everything that I've painted so far is just vinyl dye. I use the gray and the black. Well, there's two shades of gray and the black for stocks and grips and stuff like that, and as the base. And then it's just either the red or the blue that I've done so far. Vinyl dye is very forgiving. It dries quick. You can paint several coats, several different colors, tape everything off, and assemble the blaster all in the same day. I'm trying to get away from that and actually use like big boy paints, but so far that is like I had a lot of people when the Hellhound is still a thing, and was getting lots of publicity. People were like, "Oh my gosh, that paint job's beautiful," and it's like, no, it's just vinyl dye. It's nothing fancy. It's just yeah. So no, I'm hoping to move up to something a little fancier with some of these projects. I want to get my paint stuff back out and actually get back into painting again. Creep asks, how's the HPI Paulo going? I think I touched enough on that earlier. DeadX243 says, good job on your milestone, my man. My question is if you will make a sawn-off shoddy like Qualcomm again. Again, good job. Yeah, Qualcomm did that sawed-off, what that's called, double shot. I do have 2 of them. I thrifted them last Christmas, over a year ago. I got actually a side-by-side and an over-under in the same trip. My plan is to HPA one or both of them, but to put a little split, like a little manifold of some kind off the tank, going to both barrels, and then build either a plug, like a delete plate of some kind, to cover one of the holes, to where you can run 2, feed both barrels, fire both barrels, or be able to load up the plug basically and cap off one barrel. That way you can shoot a single, double powered round out of the primary barrel. That's just kind of a plan right now. I have gutted the shells, so the blaster shells. There again, I just need a few more XBZs so I can feel good about cutting things up. But no, that's I have those shells set aside. That'll happen eventually sometime. Eid Scar says, congrats, dude. Thank you very much. My question, or more of a talking point, has there been factors of your background that lead to your Nerf modding, maybe work, model making as a child, or a general interest in taking things apart? Yes, just about all of those things. When I was a kid, then I worked on old bikes like 60s, 70s, the Stingrays, the high-rise handlebars, banana seats, sissy bars, stuff like that. When I was in junior high, before I could drive, I was picking those up and building those and stuff like that. In fact, I still have a lot of those in the shed. So I've always been, mechanically minded, I guess. I've always, like I said, taken things apart as a kid to figure out kind of how things work. As I grew up, then I started building cars and stuff like that, working on things. Also got into the scale model hobby, building 24th, 25th scale cars, customs, dragsters, and things like that. In fact, I still have a closet full of model kits that I should probably do something with at some point, but Nerf has kind of taken over all of my time and interest right now. But yeah, a little bit of everything. In fact, most of my tools for modding came from the original tools that I had for doing scale models and stuff, the saws, the trimmers, and things like that. So yeah, basically, the reason I picked up the Nerf hobby so easily is because everything in my life just catered to that so well. So yeah, basically, Nerf was kind of the natural evolution of all the rest of my hobbies, I guess. Like I said in my Why I Nerf video, my dad was a drag racer back in the day, so hot rodding has always been kind of in the family. And where you take something that out of the box, it's like, that doesn't really work so good. Let's make it faster or better or whatever. There's always the looking at something's potential and trying to make it work more efficiently or work faster or cooler or whatever. Soul says, congrats on the 3,000. Thank you very much. Although I believe you deserve way more. We'll see how it goes. Well, yeah, we'll take it as it comes. Here are my questions. How long does it take you to edit a video? A long time, because I suck at editing and I hate it. Honestly, even just a dumb review type video, it probably takes me like 2 hours or whatever, at least, just to trim everything up a little bit. I just don't. My brain does not edit things. I would love to just put up raw footage, but nobody would watch it because it's that bad, because there's just so much of me rambling and crap like that. Yeah, way too long. How much time does it take you to start a project, be it an integration or any other modification you do? Not very long. In fact, there are several of the projects that I'm working on right now started just kind of on a whim, where I had an idea, and I looked over at my parts box and said, yeah, I've got the parts to do that. And so I just clean off the bench and then start a new project and start cutting. So yeah, like within a minute I could, in fact, when I get done with this video, there's not much stopping me from getting up and pulling something else out of the box and starting to cut. So yeah, it doesn't take me any time to start anything. It just takes an awful long time to finish it. Apart from YouTube, is there somewhere else we can see your work? Yes, I do have an Instagram and a Facebook, and the links are always in the description for both of those, so go ahead and check those out. The Facebook I'm not as active on because I'm just still trying to figure out what to do with it. I might end up just dumping all of my Instagram stuff on there. Instagram, I do post a lot more work in progress shots, behind the scenes stuff, just kind of little tidbits here and there to kind of let you know what's going on. So as far as if you want a more up to date feed of what's going on, I would check out the Instagram. Can we be friends, brother? If you're here watching, we're friends. Thomas Brannon asks, simple question, just wanting an update to the air-powered rival blaster you're working on. You had mentioned that you might rework it so that it's auto chamber. Sorry, I know that isn't a real question. I'm just really curious. Well, I think that's a valid question. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've got the air piston that should make it work for semi-automatic, but I want to get the actual firing system figured out first before I get into that. So yeah, it's in the works. I'm just waiting for, I don't know. I just got to get it figured out. Connor Bailey says, would you ever do blaster integrations into wearable gear such as shoulder weapons, wrist launchers, etc.? Also, how long have you been into integrations and modding? I actually have a Rapid Strike that I'd cut everything off except for the actual magwell, pusher, and flywheel set, because I was going to do a arm-mounted setup, but I was really excited about it when I cut everything up, and I just lost interest in it. The idea is fun. It just doesn't fit me, I suppose. That's not to say something might not show up later. We'll just kind of wait and see how that goes. How long have I been into integrations and modding? At this point, like 3.5 years, I guess. 3.5. Yeah, right about. Kaba Crazy asks, what is your favorite food? I like meat. I don't know, more towards, I lean towards breakfast foods. Like, as far as, like, favorite food, I don't know. I don't really identify food as being, like, individual items. But, like, you give me a plate of, like, sausage and eggs and pancakes or something, and boy, that's where it's at. Aside from, like, an individual food, I would have to say, like, finger steaks. Yeah, finger steaks. I'll go with that. Homemade finger steaks, the good ones. What is your favorite car? I am a Studebaker guy. I've just was raised around them. We had, literally dozens of them around the house growing up, that would come and go. I've got 3 right now. I'm driving my 61 Champ pickup right now. Currently working on my 60 Lark 2-door, which was in my 1,000 subscriber video. And also have a 55 Commander station wagon that is currently up on blocks right now because it doesn't have an engine or brakes and the wiring is shot. But it was driving a couple years ago. But yeah, favorite car, Studebaker. Pretty much anything from, I would say, 50 to 66. Excuse you. Are you done? Do you need down now? We're not going to play this game again. We did this once before. We're not doing it again. Ugh, buddy. Rick, and what is your favorite alcoholic beverage? Easy. I don't drink. Congrats on the 3,000, buddy. Thank you very much. I believe you're close to that by now as well, so congratulations to you as well. Tigerphone says, Tigerphone. Congratulations, man. A very well-deserved achievement. Thank you very much. What is your age? I turned 30 last week. How did you find the Nerf hobby? I covered that in my Why I Nerf video a little bit, but it kind of stumbled across it accidentally. I did have a few Nerf blasters growing up as a kid. Mid-90s, I had a Sawtooth, Eagle Eye, and Electric Eel. I also had that weird Hamp-style rocket launcher thing when I was very, very, very small, to the point that I couldn't actually make it work because I was too small and weak. But shortly after we were married, we were kind of house-sitting and kid-sitting at the same time for some friends of my wife who went on a business trip, and I was trying to figure out how to deal with kids, because I don't deal with kids well. And they had Nerf guns, and I was like, hey, I remember Nerf guns, I can make this work. And at the end of the weekend, I was like, hey, told my wife, I might need to get one of these, because they're really cool. And so I picked one up on Craigslist, and it was a Maverick. And then I found out about modding, and then I needed to get a few more, and so I started picking them up on Craigslist and thrifting and stuff like that. And, Landy, here we are. We're not going to play that game this time, I told you. Who are some of your favorite Nerf YouTubers, big or small? Honestly, I think some of my favorite material comes from the smaller channels. Like Clowny, I don't know why Clowny is still so small. I like the way his brain works. I mean, some of the goofy things he builds, they're just very unorthodox. Love his content. Obviously, I love Wacom. I like just how really off the wall, very unusual mods, very unusual approaches to things. Tungsten, I like seeing his stuff. I mean, not only the original, some of his early stuff where he was doing a lot of select fire and Arduino controlled stuff, but also now he's getting into just really impressive 3D printing and stuff like that. Carius, I do like seeing Carius and the goofy stuff he builds. I guess as much as I respect really beautifully done paint jobs like Tom, Foam Data Services, I think most of the enjoyment I get out of YouTubing, out of YouTube stuff, is the people with really wacky ideas. Even if they're not really well executed, just the really off-the-wall, unusual stuff is what really grabs me and holds my interest. And I do have a list on my YouTube page somewhere where it has like other people I'm subscribed to or whatever, or I think I have a recommended list. But those are all people that I really respect the work of. People like Coat Duck, Clowny, who else we got out there? Barrett. I dig Barrett stuff when I need a good chuckle. Lightning Eagle 14 asks, what video editing software do you use? I played with a couple. One was like Hit Film, one was something else that I can't remember that was supposed to be fancy, but it did more stuff than I needed it to do, and it was too complex for me. So I just use iMovie. We have a Mac, and I just dump the stuff on there. It's kind of limiting on what I can do, but that's okay because it's easy, and because my brain does not do editing stuff, then it's just like, okay, I can just throw the stuff in here. It's just very user-friendly for dumb people like me. Pobuddy's Nerfict says, have you considered making an overhauled sidearm type blaster? I've considered it, I just haven't because, I don't know, I mean, I've put a monster spring inside a messenger, and I actually need to brass the barrels and stuff like that. I think the closest thing to an overhauled sidearm is this little Baron that I use for Rival, which actually outranges Apollos and stuff like that. You say, have I considered it? Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it because I have a bunch of other projects right now. What are you looking at? Well, I am C and K, I guess. I'm really sorry again. When are you going to finish the Centurion strife build? It's over a year on that thing. I know I'm not the only one that wants to see it done. Yeah, I believe I covered this well enough on the little channel update video from a few weeks back. But it's had a few different hang-ups on it, but it's going to be in the it's getting close. It's getting very, very close at this point. And I'm very much excited to have it completed too, so it's not like I'm just like meh on it. Writing No Luck asks, what is your profession and hobby background that lends so well to your awesome work? And will you bring the Nate Dog to End War? Krager Dog's not coming to End War because he's like this. Profession and hobby. Honestly, my profession, so to speak, I work for the school district, and I'm kind of a delivery guy and do all that other kind of, not odd jobs, but I'm just kind of a universal man as well. So that really doesn't lend well to the hobby at all. But it is just my hobby background, like I said. Very previously, the actual modding and integrating itself comes more from my experience in the model car hobby, but the performance side of things is more lent well from the hot rodding background and just playing with cars and stuff like that. Caleb Smith asks, what was your first integration? First integration was the Warlord, the Rapid Strike, Firefly, Rough Cut with a touch of Vulcan in it. Hayden Puckridge asks, how long have you been in the hobby of Nerf? Like I said, about 3.5 years, I would say. Kayakasaurus asks, who designed your cool channel icon? That's actually a good question. When I decided I was actually going to start, getting involved in the community, then I actually talked to a friend of mine who does 3D design work, who had actually worked with a few summers when we were in school. There again, working for the district, doing grounds maintenance stuff. A good friend of mine that I met there, he later on went on into doing. He's just a crazy good computer designer guy. Like, he does just bonkersville 3D work and just stuff like that. But it is a 2D image or whatever. But I asked him, hey, can I commission you basically to design this thing for me? And he says, yeah, no problem. So I roughed out a few pictures, and in fact, I think I have a picture somewhere. I had the paper out here before. Drew up a bunch of kind of rough ideas of just different logo styles and just orientations of things and just different wild ideas, and then we took one that we kind of liked and then refined it a little bit, and then put it on the computer, and that was the original one that actually was in my first couple of videos. Then we went back after I decided I liked it a lot, and went through and we refined it even further and made it a little more, just cleaned it up a little bit and brought it to what it is right now. So I very much thank him for the help with that, because I could not have done it. I would have just drawn it with a Sharpie on a piece of paper and taken a picture of it and been like, that's the logo, we're good. Joshy Washi says, 3,000 subs is a lot to me, as I have like 70. Well, you gotta start somewhere, though. Question: if you had all the money you needed to make any build as crazy and cool as you would like, what would you buy and build? There again, HPI Paulo with the Gabzuka Absolver. Ben Lamb says, what worst Nerf-related injury you've had or seen? Haven't really experienced anything personally besides, I don't know, just being sore from nerfing hard when you're ridiculously out of shape. As far as actual injuries, haven't really experienced anything because we are in the arena and it's a business and everything's safe and stuff like that. But I have seen people who've beat themselves up and broken limbs from HVZ and some crazy out of hand stuff like that. But I have not actually seen. I've gotten hit in the eyeball with because at the arena then they're like, hey, you need to wear eye protection, but I usually don't because it fogs up real bad. And because fortunately a rival round is about the same size as your eyeball, so it's hard to actually get a good shot right on your eyeball, whereas a dart is able to get in there a lot easier. But I've gotten hit just smack dab in the eyeball at fairly close range, and of course the fireworks came out and then the lights went out. But a couple minutes later, then everything's been fine. So that's probably the worst I've experienced personally, and I should just get eye protection that works. Mr. Wisder asks, what does your loadout contain? There again, just kind of I usually do a rival loadout, and it's either the mag setup or the scavenger setup, kind of like I talked about before. And again, more information on that to come later, hopefully. The Jewel of Jewel asks, would you recommend a nickel metal hydride battery for a rapid strike in HVZ? Are there any motors that would work in a nickel metal hydride battery? Those will work. They probably don't have enough juice to really push for really hot mod motors. That definitely would work with stock. But probably, I would guess Michelle 2.0s or Rhinos and stuff like that would work good enough with a lower discharge battery like that. As far as you probably could still use a bit hotter motors, but I don't think you could effectively run like Hellcats or anything crazy like that unless you had some kind of really well-spec'd nickel metal hydride battery. But I am not an expert on electrical things. You'd have to talk to either a motor supplier or something like that to get an actual educated, informative answer. The Nerve Beaver says, will you consider running a loadout with your unique blasters and maybe with different tactical gear? That would be so cool, like Captain X body armor. Because I do play in the arena, it's a lot of like close quarter stuff, and so costume apparel wouldn't really work. I actually try to pack as light as possible. That's why I do like the scavenger loadout, because it is just a dump pouch and the blaster itself and maybe a few things. If there's more wider area NIC style games and stuff out here, then I might consider something like that. But it is just a bit impractical to do something like that with the current nerfing environment out here. There again, things can change in the future, and you never know what might happen. Jomo Letman asks, congrats on the milestone. Thank you very much. My questions are, how many dogs do you have, and what are their names? Also, can I get you anything for now? No. This is the only dog we have, which is plenty of dog for this house, and this is Krager. RZ Rider, will you do a detailed model-along like you did with the Centaur on other projects? I won't be doing it while the existing model-along project is going on, just to reduce the amount of confusion. I'm kind of on the fence about doing an actual, like, thorough watch me as I work and I'm talking things through video. Actually, I think I'll pose that as a question to the viewers at some point and say, do you want to see this happen again? Because it does slow down my productivity, because instead of just doing what I'm thinking, I have to work at a pace enough to where I can actually process and explain what I'm doing and why and stuff like that. I personally enjoy the build logs better. I try to make my build logs as informative on the decisions I made and why, to try to cover as much of that good model-along material, as far as this is what I was thinking when I did this, or this is why I did this, instead of just saying, here's this thing and I did this. If you guys would actually like to see more model-along, very thorough, minimal editing type videos, then I will try to do that, but I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Joshua Krieg, what genre or genres of music do you like? Lots of people say I love the jazz on your channel. I'm actually not a big fan of jazz personally. I mean, I'm okay with it, and it's like I enjoy it more than other things, but I'm not invested in the jazz genre. I don't know anything about the artists or anything like that. I'm actually more of a oldies guy. In fact, mostly rock and roll, a lot of surf music, drag music, stuff like that, as far as Beach Boys, Jan and Dean, Superstocks, a lot of the Gary Usher bands, and just stuff like that. Also a lot of Bill Haley, Buddy Holly, and just stuff like that. A lot of rock and roll, but I do primarily like the kind of the surf and hot rod genre. What other countries, this is Joshua Grigg again, what other countries have you been to? I have not been outside the country, and in fact, I have not been east of the border yet. That's hopefully coming later. Zero Blade says, do you have an ideal blaster in your head somewhere? What does it do? How does it look shape-wise? Will we see it made? There again, HPI Paulo. That's like my mental, like, I want to build that really bad. That's like my white whale, I guess. Is that what they call it? I don't know. That's what I want the most right now. Joshua Grigg, in your opinion, what tools are a must for integration projects? Must, I would say, hobby knife, like an X-Acto knife, a saw of some kind, like a coping saw, some kind of, like a razor saw. A Dremel would be nice, but not a must-have. Also, those little flush cutters that I use, those would definitely be on my must-have list. And files, a handful of files, like a big guy file for roughing stuff in, and maybe a few smaller needle files for cleaning up edges and stuff like that. Joshua Grigg again asks, what are your thoughts on sports? I'm not an athletic guy, and never have been. Organized sports, it just like as a kid, I'm like, why run around and chase a ball? It just never interested me. I was more interested in building stuff. But that's me personally. Have you ever been bullied as a kid? Yep. I went to school too. That's just how it works. there again, if you are an unusual, as far as you don't do what everybody else does, you're going to get picked on. Because people are like, why aren't you normal like everybody else? Don't want to be. I'd rather do my own thing and build stuff and, be my own person and not really care what you guys think. So, yeah, that's how it goes. Again, Joshua Grigg, would you ever start streaming videos again? I haven't seen one in a while. Yeah, I've considered it. I don't know. I know my videos are boring, and I'm not a super interesting guy anyway, and so I've considered it, but when I was doing it before, then it was during the summer, and so I had the fan going so I didn't die, but it was also so hot in the garage that my phone was overheating when I was trying to stream it. I don't know a better way to stream. I don't have like a webcam or whatever. I'm not a technological guy. I might consider it in the future if there's a demand, like in the comments, if you guys are like, yeah, do a live stream again, then so yeah, comment, be like, yes, live stream, and I'll be like, okay, cool, and I'll take that into account, and maybe I'll do that again a few times this year or something, or we'll see what happens. But there again, if you guys are interested, then yeah, maybe we'll do that. What's the story about the pups? No, it's just this guy. That's his thing. He's just my buddy. He's my shop dog. Evo, how young are you? Like I said, just turned 30. Homely, 665. Hey now. Use your inside voice. Don't go shouting about that. Shh. Hey. 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 No. Shh. What was your largest inspiration to get into Nerf modding? Largest inspiration? I don't know. I guess just the, just like I said, it's just kind of the natural evolution of things. The Nerf was, when I rediscovered Nerf, it was like, this is really cool, and I just enjoyed the idea to begin with. But then all the potential that I saw, once I just kind of scratched the surface at first, when I found out there was this modding thing, I was like, that's just a really cool idea. And largest inspiration, I would say probably back then, I found Griffin mods, and I found out, hey, you can do all these cool things, and then I believe from that I found Coop's videos, and that's where I kind of started to learn about the integration thing, and then it just kind of escalated from there. What is your favorite Nerf-related memory? I would say probably just like last year. Was it last year? No, I think it was the year before. My dad and I would go to the arena. That's after when we'd built the Rhinoed Chaos and stuff like that. Him and I would go almost every week, and we'd just go trash everybody, and it was great. But I can't really identify one single memory, I guess, because they all kind of wash together a little bit. But just the time, not only just nerfing because nerfing's fun, but also spending the time with my dad and doing something that we kind of both enjoyed. Favorite build from another nerfer? Man, it depends on, there's so many directions you can go with on that, because there are just so many facets of the hobby. Favorite build, wow. I would have to say, favorite build, I'd probably say Exiled's Scourge build, just because I watched that as it progressed from beginning to end, when I kind of watched the project, and just seeing the transformations and everything, and just the quality of work that went into it. I just really liked how that went, and it's just one of those where it's like, I just want to touch it, I want to hold it, you know. Favorite collaboration you have done, whether a build or a video? Haven't really done a whole lot of collaborations quite yet as far as actual collaboration videos, but I did enjoy the one that I did with Beret, with the how to modify Nerf blasters or whatever that we did around Christmas time or whatever it was. That was a good time. It was a good time actually, you know, creating a video with somebody else. That was a good time. I enjoyed that. Matt says, great job, man. Question, you worked with Busby blasters before? Yeah, I've done a few things. Haven't really done an integration or anything, just because the shells don't really mesh well as far as aesthetically with a lot of Nerf stuff. The Baron works good because it's still rather blocky, so it did work well when I did the Hellhound. That's to say, with a lot of their changes and stuff they're doing as far as updating their shells and stuff like that, as the aesthetics get a little cleaner and less goofy looking, then I will try to probably integrate more Busby stuff into builds and stuff. Just because so much of my work is aesthetically based, I'm just not crazy about Busby aesthetic right now. But they do tend to be leaning more towards the little bit more tactical and aggressive aesthetic. So yeah, I have worked with them before. I do have a Ultimate Missile Blast that I worked on, that I brassed the turret and replaced the internals with the extended draw night finder internals, and or not Ultimate Missile Blast, a Berserker, no, yeah, with the rocket in the middle, and I put a Absolver in the middle that's removable that you can still put the rocket on and stuff like that. So I have done it. I just nothing really worth mentioning. Michael mods Nerf. Yay, Nate, you go. Thank you very much. What are your favorite motors to use for builds? Just because most of my stuff is the aesthetic, I don't like having big bulky covers added, and so the Neo Rhinos were going to be my go-to, but now that the revamped Fangs have come out, being able to use a 2S motor in a 130 form factor and still having respectable performance, I think those are going to be my new choice. I do have a set in this blaster up here that you guys don't know about yet, but I will be revealing soon, hopefully. I just really like the, because I don't need like blistering performance, I just need like good performance. And so the revamped Fangs seem to do more than I need them to do, and still have not only the 130 form factor, but also the smaller 2S pack. So I think those are kind of what I'm going to be leaning on for the future. Drew Benson asks, what is your favorite tool for integrations? My big file. I got a really big coarse file that's good for just chewing big chunks off and cleaning up edges and stuff like that. Triton Caricature says, good job, you deserve it. You get water. Well, thank you very much. And that's all the questions. So thank you very much, everybody, and hey, just relax. Relax. Thanks for the 3,000 subs, and at this point we've surpassed 3,500, which is pretty darn cool. So, thanks everybody who's coming, who's been around since the beginning, and thanks to all the new people that are coming along. And I hope you guys are enjoying what you see. And I always enjoy feedback. If you particularly like something that I do, then let me know. If you particularly don't like something that I did, also let me know, so that I'm not wasting everybody's time with something that nobody likes and things like that. Lots of cool stuff in the future, so stick around and we'll make some cool stuff happen. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Wishing blue skies and green lights to you and yours, and may all your troubles be teeny weeny ones.